Everyone, welcome back to my tutorial class. For today we're going to be doing angles and their properties. I'm going to start by defining an angle. Firstly, an angle is the space between two lines that intersect. For instance, this is a line and this is also a line, and this right here is a space between them, so this here is an angle. Also, this here is an angle. Now, firstly, we have types of angle, and the types of angle that we have, I'm going to start from the least one. So firstly, we have an acute angle, and an acute angle is simply an angle that is less than 90 degrees. So this here is an acute angle. So acute angles are angles that are less than 90 degrees. We also have a right angle triangle, and a right angle triangle is an angle that is equal to 90 degrees, and it is usually known or signified by this sign right here. So whenever you see something like this, it means that you have a right angle triangle, and the right angle triangle is equal to 90 degrees, exactly 90 degrees, no more, no less. Now the next one we have is obtuse angle. And an obtuse angle is an angle that is greater than 90 degrees but less than 180 degrees. So this here is an obtuse angle. It is greater than 90 degrees but less than 180 degrees. Now the next one that we have is an angle on a straight line angle. And this is equal to 180 degrees, angle on a straight line. The next one is a reflex angle. A reflex angle is an angle that is greater than 180 degrees but less than 360 degrees. So this here is a reflex angle. Greater than 180 degrees but less than 360 degrees. Now the next one is angle at a point. Angle at a point is a complete angle, and it is equal to 360 degrees. Angle at a point. Now these are the types of angle that we have, or rather these are the main types of angles that we have. The acute angle, which is less than 90 degrees, the right angle triangle, which is equal to 90 degrees, the obtuse angle, which is greater than 90 degrees but less than 180 degrees, angle on a straight line, which is equal to 180 degrees, the reflex angle, which is greater than 180 degrees and less than 360 degrees, and finally angle at a point, which is equal to 360 degrees. Now, since we are done with knowing the types of angles that we have, we are going to move over to the properties of angle, or maybe the characteristics of an angle. So over to properties of angles. Before I continue, first of all, I would like to tell you what a parallel line is. I believe that many of you should know what a parallel line is, but in case of those that don't know, I'm going to make a brief explanation on that. So a parallel line, or rather, parallel lines are lines that can never meet each other. If we have two straight lines, I'm sorry, mine is not straight. So two straight lines that can never meet each other, no matter how far they are extended, they are parallel lines. And parallel lines are usually signified by simply adding this symbol to the line, or maybe two of it, it doesn't matter, or even three of it. What matters is that the same number of arrowheads that you have here is also the same number of arrowheads that you have here, and this is how you know parallel lines. Now, after explaining parallel lines, I would also like to tell us the meaning of a transverse. A transverse. Now, a transverse is simply a line that cuts through a parallel line, or that cuts through parallel lines. For instance, these are our parallel lines, and if I should draw another line to cut through them, it means that this one here is going to become a transverse. Now, since I'm done explaining what parallel lines are and also what a transverse is, I'm now going to move over to the properties of angle. Now, the first one we have is alternate angles. Alternate angles. Now, one thing you have to know about alternate angles is that alternate angles are equal. They are equal. Now, what are alternate angles? Let's assume that these here are my parallel lines and this is my transverse. Now, let me label it for clarity's sake. Let me call this my angle A, my angle B, my angle C, my angle D, my angle E, my angle F, my angle G, and my angle H. So alternate angles are angles that are lying in opposite sides within two parallel lines. So now this is my parallel line A and this is my parallel line B. Now this side and this side are alternate angles. Here and here are also alternate angles. So opposite sides within parallel lines, that's alternate angles. Alternate angles are angles lying, I'm sorry for my spelling, angles lying on opposite sides within parallel lines. And that's alternate angles. So since we've already known that C and F are alternate angles, E and D are alternate angles, it means that our C is going to be equal to our F and our D is going to be equal to our E because they are alternate angles. Now, please, if you have any question or you feel like I'm too fast, you can slow down the video or maybe ask your question in the comment section. Now, for the second one, we have corresponding angles. Corresponding angles. Also, corresponding angles are also equal. They are equal wherever they are seen in parallel lines. Now, I'm going to be using this same drawing here for reference. Now, here, our corresponding angles are A and E, B and F, C and G, B and H. Sorry, D and H. Now, from what you've seen here, you will see that corresponding angles are angles that are lying in the same position. In the same position. In the same position on parallel lines. Now, these are parallel line A and these are parallel line B to avoid confusion. Now, look there, these are upper left and here is our lower left. These are upper right and these are lower right. So here we have upper and here upper, here lower and here lower, here lower and here lower. So corresponding angles are angles that are lying in the same position, just that they are in different parts of in different lines. So these are first line, these are second line. If I should bring all this here down to this line, you will see that A here is lying in the same position as E, just that it is on a different line. So these are corresponding angles and they are equal. Now, another way, or should I say a way that you can remember these properties. Firstly, alternate angles. We have, you already know your alphabet, letter Z. These are Z. So when maybe you're writing an exam and you want to remember how these properties, all you have to do is just write your letter Z and then you will see that alternate angles are lying here. That is the remembrance for alternate angles. Now we'll move over to the next one. The next one is going to be vertically opposite angles. Vertically opposite angles. Now, what are vertically opposite angles? Like the name implies, vertically opposite angles are angles that are opposite to each other in a parallel line. So if this is my parallel line and this is my transverse, this is my A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. You will see that when you come to this one, these two are opposite to each other. These two are also opposite to each other. The same thing as these two and these two. So therefore, A and D are vertically opposite. B and C are also vertically opposite. E and H are also vertically opposite. F and G are also vertically opposite. And one of the property of vertically opposite angles is that vertically opposite angles are equal. They are equal. Vertically opposite angles are equal. So whatever we have in A, we should be having the same thing in D. Whatever we have in B, same thing applies to C and the rest on. Now the next property that we're going to move over to is adjacent angles. Adjacent angles. Now adjacent angles are angles that sum up to 180 degrees. Yeah, so they are the sum of angles in a straight line, or they are angles that are lying side by side on a straight line. Angles that lie side by side, or angles that lie on a straight line. So let's assume that this is a straight line and we have maybe something like this. So we have an angle here and an angle here. If this is my angle A and this is my angle B, it means that my A and B are adjacent angles. You can also have more than an angle. You can have maybe something like this. You have an angle here, angle here, angle here, maybe X, maybe Z, X, S. So the three of them are adjacent angles. And the characteristics of an adjacent angle is that adjacent angles are supplementary. And what are supplementary angles? Supplementary angles are angles that add up to 180 degrees. Supplementary angles are angles that add up to 180 degrees. So when you add them together, you are getting 180 degrees. Now, we also have complementary angles, but that's by the way, but let me just explain it for clarity's sake or in case. Complementary angles are angles that add up to 90 degrees. So when you see any two angles that when you add them together, you are getting 90 degrees, it means that they are complementary angle. But when you see any two angles or more, two or more angles, that when you add them together, you are getting 180 degrees, it means that it is a supplementary angle or that they are supplementary angles. So that is going to be it for today. If there is any question or anything you do not understand, you can feel free to ask in the comment section. And our next class is going to be on bearing, so stay tuned. And if my video was helpful, make sure you like, share, and of course, subscribe.